Please never get to the place of regret. Please don't live here. It's a terrible place. So regret keeps us looking backwards, stuck right in between where God called us out of and where God is calling us to. All right, so we have this illustrated in the book of Genesis. Abraham visits Lot, the city of sin, and God is coming to judge the city, burn it with sulfur and fire. They exit the city, and God tells them specifically, don't look back. I'm calling you somewhere else. Don't look back. So they're making their journey, and it says that Lot's wife turned around, looked back to sin, to the city, to where she was living, to her old life. She turned back and was turned into a pillar of salt. And she was stuck. Do you know what happened to her? She was stuck forever where God called her out of and where God was calling her to. Stuck right in between. How many Christians, how many people think about their sin all the time, their mistakes, their past, their old life, and they forever are stuck right in between where God called them out of and where God is calling them to. From their past life to their destiny. From deprivation to provision in God. Don't live there. If you look backwards, you'll get stuck. If you look at sin, if you're conscious of it all the time, you'll get stuck and you'll never make it to the holiness and the purpose that God is calling you to. Makes it so that your yesterday will always be tomorrow. As long as you're looking backwards, you will never get out. That addiction, that sin habit will never go away. It will never go away as long as you look back, as long as you pay attention to what hasn't been made right yet, it'll never be made right. So it makes you bitter. It makes you angry with God. God, why haven't you changed me by now? Why haven't you done this for me? Why am I still here? It creates anger with God. And often it'll actually separate you, because what happens is people go to church and they continue to live the same way they've always lived, but at the same time they're gaining knowledge, they're learning all the ways that they shouldn't be living, all the ways they should be living, and they start to come under the condemnation, and they get into regret, and it feels like, oh, I've gone this far in God, I've learned all this knowledge, but I still can't change. I still can't change. What is wrong? What is wrong? And they're bitter, and their faith is completely destroyed. And what actually happens is they develop an expectation to repeat the same mistakes. And you see this all over the place. Oh, well, I've struggled for sin for years. I'll probably struggle my whole life. I've had this addiction for this many years. It'll probably be forever. I've lived this way this long. It'll probably be forever. And they actually put their faith that's supposed to be in change and transformation, and they put it in repetition. They put it in sin and the expectation to fail. No wonder you fail, because you believe you will so much. I'll just throw that out there. If you believe you're always going to sin, if you believe you're always going to repeat that mistake, guess what? Your faith is going to activate, and that action is going to come up again and again and again, because that's what you have faith for. There's a way out. There's a way out. The problem is that we've been trained to do it the wrong way. We don't know how to deal with our sin, and so we keep living in it because we don't know how to render ourselves dead to sin and alive to God.